Hey guys, it's Ben with Myers Woodshop, and in this episode of the Ultimate Dream Shop Renovation Series, we're gonna do lighting. So you see you got some temporary lights up. These are still hung from the guys when they did the painting. They used LED bulbs so they can cover them up and it wouldn't melt the plastic from covering. So what I need to do first is change out the boxes up top. Half the side has boxes that are the big circular boxes that have the old school kind of swoopiness where you can screw one of these light bulbs into it. And the other side of the shop just has some Romex wire coming straight through a drilled hole just sticking out because they had some flat old school tube style lighting. So the first thing I need to do for this is change all the boxes up in the top. Well, really, on the one side, the newer side of the shop, I need to add boxes. And on this side, I'm gonna change to plates that actually have plug-ins because the lights I'm going to plug in to an outlet. So we're gonna change all of these to an outlet. I'm not changing the boxes from circles because we already have cut holes and I don't wanna mess with those. So I found some cool things to change these over to an outlet. It's a simple deal. You can find them on Amazon or Ace Hardware. I'll leave links in the description below. Here's what they look like. So these are the plates I found, and you can see they have a cutout for the outlet. Here's the outlet, your normal style every day. And the outlet will fit right in there. Then it'll secure to it with the screw that goes through the middle. The bolts that are on the sides here that normally screw into the box, you're gonna take those out and they're gonna go into these sides right here. And then you can see it's circular. It'll line up with that outlet. So we'll have an outlet up in the wall in the circular box. So first things first, we're gonna attach all of our plates right here with a screw to our outlet. So it'll be just like this. And then we're gonna attach the wiring that's in the ceiling to our outlet. And then finally, we'll screw it up into the wall, into the ceiling, and we'll have our outlets ready for lights. Okay, so when you go to the store or you buy these from Amazon, you're gonna get your outlet with the two bolts already on the side. You're gonna get your plate, and you're gonna have to buy a bolt for the center right here. So go ahead and pick one out. It doesn't need to be very long. You need to get the right length so it'll hold this plate tight as well. So the first thing we need to do is take these bolts off of the outlet because we're gonna reuse them over here. So we'll just take a drill and we'll apply pressure from behind with our finger because they're held in with this little plastic. Once we have that done, we're going to take the plate, and if you look at the back, it says underside. So that's going to be the back side. These are UL approved. That was something that was important to me. So we'll put the plate on and we'll take the little bolt that I bought and we'll attach the plate. Once the plate's attached, we'll now go ahead and do it to the rest of the ones we have, and then we can go up and wire the wires to the outlet. All right, we have our outlets all ready to go. I'm just focusing on my left side that already has the pre-boxed area. So let's go up and do our first outlet. We'll wire it to this outlet in the back, and then we'll attach it. Before doing any electrical, always make sure to open your breaker box and turn off the right breakers. I'm turning off every single one because I don't need anything in the shop right now. So I'm ensuring everything's turned off. That way I won't electrocute myself. Absolutely do this first. Find your breaker and just flip them off. So I'm up at my lights. So the first thing I'm gonna do is disconnect their temporary lights. So it just has a wire cap and we just unscrew that and the light will come off. And you can see I have 4 lights. So one light comes in, it connects, and then the light goes out. So I have a white and a black, and then it looks like I have a white here and a black here. So the black will go to black and the white will go to white. Typically your wires are going to be much more color coded than mine, but we just got sprayed with white paint everywhere, so the white paint is already on these. Next, we're going to need some electrical cutters. So I'm going to take some of the wire. This one doesn't have any, you'll notice this has copper and this doesn't. I'm going to take some of the wire, and this is a 12 gauge wire, and I'm going to clip it, and I'm just going to remove some of the lining so that we'll have the bare copper exposed. Just like that. So I have 4 wires, 2 black back here and 2 white up here. Okay, on the back of our receptacle we have 2 screws to hold 2 wires and 2 screws to hold 2 wires. If you only have 2 wires coming out of your outlet, you're only going to use 1 screw on either side. I have 2 whites, which are over here, and 2 blacks, which go over here. And I can read right in here, it says white, and this one doesn't say anything, so I know the white goes on this side. It says white right here. So I'm going to connect the 2 white wires to this side and the 2 black wires to this side, each one getting its own terminal for the screw. Also, you'll notice that the screw turns this way, and with the wire, I'm going to make a J out of it. I'm going to bend it. But I'm going to make that J to where it'll end when I hook it onto this in the direction that I'm going to turn the screw. And if I do it the opposite way, when I turn the screw tight, I will actually loosen that connection and the connection can come off. So you always want the termination of that wire to follow the direction of the screw. So I'm going to go up there, make some J's out of the wire, and then connect it to these terminals, and then tighten the screw down with my drill or screwdriver. All right, all I'm going to do is take the ends of my nips and just twist it up, and you can see I made a J. Doesn't matter what direction we go right now, just making a J. So now I have a J in all the wires. All right, I'm going to take the J, I'm going to make sure that I twist it this way to ensure that when I put it around that screw, when I tighten it, you can see when I tighten it, it'll follow that direction and actually make it tighter and not come loose. So that's my first connection. I'm just going to take this one, I'm going to do the exact same thing. And there's my 2 white connections. They're tight on there. Now I'm just going to twist it around like this. And we're going to do the same thing with our black connections. Sometimes you got to bend the wire out of the way for it to reach. So we have our J, remember we have our J's going in the direction that the screw will actually turn. It goes like that. And that's all we need to do for the connection right here. Normally we have a ground. My ground wire is pretty short and snipped off. So you'll have a ground right like here. This one doesn't have one that'll reach. So I'm going to get this out of the way. This is just going to be some bare copper wire. In my case, it's been painted white. So we kind of want to get that paint off to make sure we got a good connection. So I'm just going to kind of scuff it up. And again, you're going to want to make a J to go into the green nut back here to get that connection for a ground. So we have our J right there. Get that around that green nut. And I'm just going to reconnect it. And now I have my 5 wires, 2 black. I now have my 5 wires, 2 black, 2 white, and a ground. So that's it for the connection of the wiring. So now I want to make sure I can shove the wiring up into that hole. All right, so now would be the time when you took the 2 bolts off of this to attach to it. Mine were too small for these upper plates, so I have some different sized ones that are the correct fit. So I'm gonna go ahead and start them because these bolts will fit into them. Start them with my fingers. You can see the bigger slit will go in through there. I won't start that one with my fingers. And the little slit will come around through here. And now I can start with a drill. Just tightening this up. And you don't have to push the plate in because when you drill these in, it'll essentially push them in for you. And that's it. Now we didn't have to mess with any box. We have a plate over what we want, and now we can just plug in the LED lights that I got for the shop. All right, so these are the lights that I've been using. I just got some for the old shop right before I moved, and I love them, so we have more. They are the Barrina, I think it's Barrina, LED tube light fixture 8-foot. They are 500K, they are LED, and they are linkable. So let me open them up and I will show you what they look like. Okay. So these are what they look like. It's a 10-pack. They're really long. They come in a 4-foot or an 8-foot. I'm in a huge shop, so I'm gonna get the 8-foot. They're real thin, so if all you have is joists going across, like in my old shop, I put them directly on the joists on a 2x6. They fit perfectly. They are very bright. They are linkable. So on one side you have a plug, and on the other side we also have a plug. And they give you a plethora of plugs. So they give you a bunch of these plugs where there's a on and off switch. So in a pack of 8, we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on and off switch plugs. Then we have all of the linkable connections right here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 linkable connections. And then we also have short stubby connections if we so choose to use those. And then we also have really short stubby connections if we want to butt them up right against each other, little teeny connectors. And finally in this bag, there are some screws and these metal pieces. So what we'll do is we'll screw these pieces to the ceiling, and then they will literally just clip into the light and hold the light. So it makes it really, really easy to install. You really cannot screw these up to install them. And they're very light also. So these are the lights I'm going with. I'll leave a link in the description below for Amazon. They come probably in 2 days, and they are fantastic lights. Okay, here's kind of the layout. It kind of throws it off that I have a closet room right here, but I have 3 linked up, 3, 3, 3, 3. I have 1 going this way across the workbench. I have 1 kind of up in the divider right above the ceiling of that between the 2 shops. So there is a step up there so no one will trip over that. And then I have 2 and 2 right over here up against the shorter part. That gives me 20 total. I'm subtracting 18 because typically these 2 would be 3 long, but I have this in here. I have different lighting for in that room because the 8-foot would be too long. So I have some lighting I'm bringing over from the current shop that'll fit perfectly in there. I'm gonna take the 2 that are extra from in here and put them in my house garage because the lights that are in there are terrible. And then we have 20 more that are gonna go on the other side. Those are gonna be a lot easier because there is no room or anything in the way. It'll just be 3, 3, 3, 3, 3 all the way across. So we have them laid out. Now I need to kind of divide it up evenly in the ceiling so I don't have weird gaps between. I'm gonna put my laser line across, and then we'll hang up the little brackets that will hold these lights to the ceiling, and we'll get the lights up, and then we'll finish this side first, and then we'll move over to the next side and get that one hooked up. I will say off of these lights, I've had 10 running off of one circuit all the way across. They were connected. I'm gonna keep 10 on one circuit, 10 on another, because I know that will work out. I wouldn't link any more than that. Check the product description for whatever lights you buy to make sure you're linking the right amount for the lights you have. Okay, so I plugged all my lights in. I'm checking what lights go to what and how I'm gonna lay this out. But aside from that, we know I have one light I'm gonna hang right in this framed way. So it lights up the step. I don't want anybody to trip over it. So Brian's going to install that. He's gonna center it. Do you need me to hold?
Yeah, I got it.
I'll hold the measuring tape for you to make it a little easier.
Got it. Just, we're going up?
Well, wouldn't you wanna know up here?
I'm assuming it's the same on the bottom as on the top, but you know, maybe my mistake. 116 inches, thank you.
Okay, 116. So Brian's gonna hang that first, and then we're gonna go ahead and hang the rest of the lights up. If we take a look at the ceiling, I'm gonna not measure this side because it's pretty easy. We're divided by slats holding up each individual panel. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the slats going down, holding the panel, and we have 6 panels. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna center each light in the middle of each panel, I believe. And that should get us the 6 rows that I've laid out on the ground of how I want it. So I will avoid basically doing math and separating it that way. The other side doesn't have that, so it'll be a little harder. But the first things first, we're gonna hang this light. Okay, the next one we're gonna do is the main light over here. We are going to mount this one light bar this way. We're gonna try to mount it from that strip, the center strip, and this strip. We're gonna err on this side of the table. We're gonna line it up with the front of the table and we'll kind of be centered right over this work area. So Brian's gonna put this up. All right, Brian just got the back one, and it's on its own breaker. And we have a light in the back. So that is pretty bright, and that's just one. We're good there. So right now we temporarily have a few, 1, 2, 3, 4 in here, and it is rather bright. And we have 18 total, so we have 14 more to go. So we're going to be pretty bright now. All right, so we're taking a break from the other side because it's become a spray booth for some of my drawers and stuff. So we're on the other side of the shop. The other side of the shop doesn't have any outlets up above. It's just some wire coming through the ceiling. And take a look right here. We got wire through the ceiling here, and this one has a little hole, but the other spots just have the wire through like a drill hole. So we're gonna be putting boxes up in the ceiling, and then we'll be able to plug in the lights. Okay, so on this side we have a hole, so we have the electrical box, and Pete's just gonna lift it up onto the ceiling, and he's gonna trace that box with his pencil so we can cut a hole where this box will sit up into. And now we have a line that Pete is not doing very well. And now we have our square up top. Okay, we're gonna be using this. It's called an oscillating tool. When we pull the trigger, the tip vibrates and it's got some cutting there. So Pete's going to cut a hole with this up in the ceiling. That's a smoking. It's a new bit. So you see now, Pete, we got the hole out and the box will just sit right up in there. And we'll need to take out the wire. All right, so this box has wings. This is for old construction that already exists. These will go out and cling to the drywall or wall up in the ceiling and hold this box in place. Okay, so these boxes have tabs on the back side of it. So Pete's gonna take his screwdriver and poke a tab in so we can fit the electrical line through into the hole. So you can see he's poking it through. You can see the hole right there. And the electrical line goes through. And then we shove in the box up into the hole, like so. And then we take a drill and we're gonna drill the two tabs. When we screw the drill in, it's gonna bring that tab and tighten up the box against the ceiling. So now Pete's just putting the final cover plate on with a simple flathead screw to cover that hole. He's gonna take our light so we can test this. I'm gonna go turn on the power to the outlet, and we're just gonna ensure that we wired it correctly and everything's working before we move on to the next step. All right, we've turned the power back on the breaker, and when we flip the switch to the outlet, we now have power. So we've wired everything up correctly. We're gonna move on to the next 4 that are in the shop. We'll just time lapse it so you can watch us work, and then we'll start hanging lights. All right, the lights are hung, but you'll notice behind me there's a bunch of cords hanging down, and we're gonna flush mount them. We're gonna do it in the cheap way. You can buy some plastic channel that I'll sit in, but I'm not going that route. I'm going these NM staples. They're for wood, 3/4 inch NM cable staples. I've used this in an old shop and I really liked them. They held up the wire. So, and they're also white, so they should blend in better with the white ceiling. So we're gonna go ahead and go with those. I'm gonna just tidy up the cables up on the ceiling, and that'll finish out the right side of the shop. And then finally the painters are done. So tomorrow we'll run the rest of the lights on the left side because there won't be drying cabinets for my house over there. So let's hang up these on the ceiling. And this is what I got, the NM staples, 100 count, 3/4 inch cable staples. And I'll leave a link in the description below for these. This is what I'm using. All right, side one, the right side is now finished. You can look up top and see all the lights are up, and then I have pinned all of the wires kind of a semi-organized fashion with those nailing clips. So I'll leave a link in the description for those things. I opted for those. They're a lot cheaper than the molded channel, and they're real quick and easy. And this isn't like a super high class studio, but it's perfect for the OSB walls. So that's all of this side. Now we're gonna flip it around. We have this side to do. They were using this as the paint booth for my drawers and stuff. So I couldn't get over here for that. But now I have this side to do. This is the side we started on, as you remember. We have the back one hung and ready. All the outlets are prepared. And we have the first one hung in the row. We've already finished that one. So we're halfway there. In the meantime, I did come back and do the little back room. Today, these are a different type of light. They're just what I already had in my other shop. I ran one up top, and then I ran down a link for two underneath. So I have some light so I can see the shelving when I get up high, and then some light for in this room. And they're LED light bars. They're pretty nice. I like them. Those were the ones I used first, and now I have these big light bars. So we're gonna go ahead and continue on with this side of the shop, and then we will be light enough to do the flooring. So let's hang this side's lights. All right, so we did exactly what we did on that side. On this side, we have them running this way. We have the layout a little different because of that side room. Now we're at the process where you just have to tack up the wires to get them all tucked up and nice. I did have to do a little bit of splicing for some wires, especially right here because we couldn't reach the power outlets. They're a little different. So let me show you what I did. So you can see on this wire, I spliced two together, very easy. There's 3 wires, a ground, a white, and a black. You put them together, and I can reach from the outlet over to the other wire. So I only have up to 10 on one outlet, and I split this up 5 and 5 on 2 different plugs on the same outlet, so I don't overdrive the lights. So that's why I have it the way I have it. The last one I need to do is this one in the transition. It was too short and I don't have anything to plug it into, so I have one left on that side to where I'm gonna plug it into. Then all our wires are spliced and then we'll hang them and be done with the ceiling and lights finally. We're done! We're finally done with the lights. We got them all hung. We got all of the wiring tucked up. If you use these cable hangers and you're hammering in the ceiling without a stud behind it, your hammer is going to bounce and it's gonna make you say bad words. So that's a little bit frustrating. Just make sure you're hitting it into a stud or some solid piece of wood. But finally, we got all the wires up and everything is bright out. Really, really bright, no shadows of any kind because we have so much light. Now, if you look at me going all the way to the other side, it is completely dark outside, and this is lit up like the fiery sun. So we got it down, we got them all hung, and next we're ready for the floor. So we got the white walls painted, we got the white ceilings, we got the new door, we got the lights hung. It's time to make our floor match the rest of the shop. You can see there's a lot of overspray on the floor, so we got to get rid of that, back down to the concrete base, and we're going with a Rustoleum Epoxy flooring, and I'll show you what that is. The kit, we're going to do a gray base coat with some black and white flake, and then a little bit more of the blue decorative. So that's what we got, Rustoleum. We got the epoxy shield garage kit. This is the next series. So stick around and you'll see the floor be transformed to something showroom. And we're gonna figure it out together because I've never laid this. So let's learn together on flooring on the next episode. Thanks for watching so far. Stay tuned. We'll see you later.